Today's episode of Darkness Radio is brought to you by Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. With the busy fall season just around the corner, look for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Head to factormeals.com/darkness50 and use code darkness50 to get 50% off on upscale meals with premium ingredients like broccolini, leeks, truffle butter, and asparagus. That's code darkness50 at factormeals.com/darkness50 to get 50% off. Welcome in. It is a Wednesday. That means one thing. It's time for Supernatural News and Parashare here on the best in paranormal talk radio. It's Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Right over there is the best in the biz, is what I like to call him. He is the co-host with the most, the BCB, the big cuddly bear himself, Beer City Bruiser. How you doing, Bruiser?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Like I was telling you off air, I'm sore. I saw my surgeon for a follow-up. And hip is healing nicely, and he cleared me to do the elliptical at the gym.
Oh, very nice.
I haven't done the elliptical in 8 years.
Really? Did you tell him I haven't done it in 8 years, but I'm more than willing to try?
I did. And so yesterday I jumped on and got 5 minutes in and was pouring sweat and got off and went, okay, that's my time for the elliptical. Let's go to the treadmill. Another half hour on the treadmill. Then today I tried it again. I'm like, I got to get to that. I wanted to get to 10 minutes. I got to 7.
Okay.
But my quads, man, because I haven't engaged those muscles in so long in my right leg.
Yeah.
They are just so angry at me right now.
Oh, I bet they are. Oh.
But it's a positive,
Yeah.
I'm still 6 weeks out from lifting and having my lifting restrictions lifted.
Yeah.
But I'm able to walk the puppies now. I'm able to go to the gym on a daily basis for treadmill, and now I get to do the elliptical and torture myself with that.
Oh, my God. I haven't been on an elliptical machine since, I don't know, Moses was in short pants. Can't tell you how long.
I don't recommend it right now unless you want your quads on fire.
Yeah. I know. So the folks there at PT will tell me, well, we need to get you some sort of exercise. I said, yeah, I could do DDP yoga, bed exercises. And they go, well, but we should think about maybe like a bike thing and I'm like, if you'd like to see my leg bone come through my foot, sure, we could do that. We could absolutely do that. Because I'm not supposed to
see me do a Nick Chubb. Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. If you'd like me to pull a Nick Chubb, I absolutely would love to do that bike thing for you. Absolutely. Because that's the equivalent of a step for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't understand that.
Yeah.
You're putting force down, which is forcing the bone to go down, which is where the wound is.
Right, yeah. So sometimes the PT people aren't that smart. They just don't get it. I'm like, Google Sharko-foot sometime and do it before you have dinner.
Yeah.
So, so you can cut some calories.
So I can ruin your night.
That's right. I understand it. Maybe you'll understand it better when you see it too. So there's that. We got a big show today, Bruiser. Boy, have we got lots of alien talk. We got some alien talk in here today. We're going to talk ghosts quite a bit today. And we got ye old conspiracy theories. Nostradamus pokes his ugly head up today for some reason or another. And we'll talk the Kennedy assassination, the JFK assassination today.
Yeah, you teased us with that yesterday. I'm excited to cover that story.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the magic bullet theory. And is it so magic?
Down and to the left.
That's
Down
right.
and to the left.
A Secret Service member comes out last week and says, you know what? There's something to it. And it's...
They normally have NDAs. Is that why you don't hear a lot from the Secret Service? Because we've been talking about all this government stuff with UFOs and aliens and whatnot. Mm-hmm. You would think a Secret Service member who's protecting president, vice president, senator, whatever, would have been privy to a conversation about aliens.
Sure.
But you never hear them coming out. You always hear the Navy or a pilot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder if they have to sign an NDA.
I'm sure they do.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But we'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, that's just off the top of my head, because every time we do a government story, it's like, well, why don't the Secret Service guys talk?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's good reason.
I'm sure too. I mean, the secrets they know.
Oh yeah. That's for sure. We're going to start off first with a controversial topic that everyone was talking about this past week, and some people will argue over, and that is these mysterious alien bodies that showed up in Mexico.
Yeah, the ones that look like sheet cake.
Yes, it looks like you could take a nice little chunk out of them, and they probably taste like, I don't know, vanilla cake with some sort of shitty buttercream frosting.
That's what it looked like to me. Because, you can get those baby cakes.
Yes.
That's what I'm like, oh, they made a cake. It looks like an alien.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the guy to put a candle in it and sing happy birthday.
I think the most clever caption I saw was, oh, it turns out Steven Spielberg was right after all. They do look like the movie. Yeah, which I thought that was kind of clever. I don't know. It turns out that an international spat has erupted over alien bodies amid claims that they were stolen. There's a man by the name of Jamie Masson who has unveiled corpses which he claims are evidence of intelligent life on other planets. Now there's allegations that they were stolen from Peru. Other people claim that they're just plain fake, and I don't. Yeah. I don't know where
he's the stolen thing. I've heard the fake thing, but I haven't heard the stolen thing.
Yeah. A UFO investigator has come under fire and is the subject of a criminal probe after displaying the mummified remains of what he claims are aliens in Mexico. Jamie Masson last week unveiled the corpses of what he claims are evidence of intelligent life on other planets, and one of the most important discoveries in human history. After presenting the non-human bodies to Mexico's Congress, the Peruvian authorities are angry that the objects were removed from the country, having been found there. The 70-year-old Masson says the mummified bodies were discovered in Peru in 2017 near the mysterious and ancient Nazca lines and are around 1,000 years old. The Peruvians are angry that the pre-Hispanic artifacts have left the country and got into Masson's hands without their knowledge and have launched a criminal investigation into the UFO enthusiast. He says he has done absolutely nothing illegal and that the discoveries are a pivotal moment in human history. The scientific community and the Peruvian authorities are not so sure and believe that the objects are of earthly origin. However, it has also been suggested that they are part of a stunt that has already been disproven. That according to the Daily Mail.
Okay. So somebody's disproven it already.
Well, they claim it's already.
They claim, yeah.
They claim, yeah. Peruvian Culture Minister Leslie Ortega said that they are investigating how the bodies left the country and says a criminal complaint has been filed. Masson said in response that he was not worried and that he has done absolutely nothing illegal. When asked how the two bodies, which he calls Clara and Mauricio, I'm glad they have names.
I am too. I saw the pictures. You saw the pictures. You can't tell male and female, can you?
No. There's
so how does he know one's Claire, one's Marie? You know what I mean? Like, good for him for keeping it gender fluid, I guess.
Yeah, or I guess maybe gender specific. Yeah. I mean, so we can identify, or maybe develop some sort of a affinity for them.
Yeah, because I have to admit, when I saw the pictures, the second thing I did was zoom in and see if there's a schlong.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I've got that side to me. Sure. I'm like, hey, I wonder what he's packing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So, so Clara and Mauricio came into his possession. But when he was asked how the two bodies, which he calls Clara and Mauricio, come into his possession, he said that he would reveal all at the appropriate time. Masson spoke under oath before Mexican Congress last Tuesday, claiming that we are not alone in the universe as he displayed what he claims are the bodies of non-human beings. The two objects displayed in glass boxes have elongated heads with 3 fingers on each hand, but are humanoid with 2 arms and 2 legs. Spanish newspaper El Pais reported that the bodies were not unlike birds with long skulls, strong light bones, and no teeth. Well, They have something in common with humans. They also appear to have retractable necks like the alien in the hit film E.T., which makes it a little suspicious. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. It has been claimed that x-rays of the specimen show one of the so-called aliens carrying egg-like objects with embryos inside a body cavity. Mexican.
Okay, so that's how they determine the male and the female.
Right, yeah.
According to humans, because aliens, we don't know, the males might get pregnant.
That's true. You never know.
Never know.
You never know. Mexican lawmakers also heard that the bodies boasted implants of cadmium and osmium metal. Osmium is one of the rarest elements on Earth and therefore highly valuable. Many experts are skeptical of Mason's claims. Navy Lieutenant Ryan Graves, who took part in U.S. congressional hearings about unidentified anomalous phenomena, criticized Mason's activities as a stunt. Elsa Tomasto Cagagio, I believe, a Peruvian bioanthropologist, has also revealed her frustration at the claims, arguing that similar finds purporting to be of extraterrestrial origin have been proved fraudulent. What we said before still stands, she went on to say. They are presenting the same rehash as always, and if there are people that keep believing that, what can we do? It's so crass and so simple that there is nothing more to add, she went on to say. Forensic scientist Dr. Jose Zalsa Benitez presented the findings alongside Mason and challenged the scientific community to test the alien bodies and conduct their own analysis before calling the objects part of a hoax. Based on the DNA tests, which were compared with more than 1 million species, they are not related to what is known or described up to this moment by science or by human knowledge, he told journalists. Julieta Fierro, who is a scientist at the Mexico's National Autonomous University, or UNAM, Institute of Astronomy, reviewed his results and said samples were related to brain and skin tissues from mummies who died at different times. The results do not show anything mysterious that could indicate life compounds that do not exist on Earth, Fierro said. At last week's conference, Masson cited carbon dating by UNAM as showing that the bodies were more than 1,000 years old. However, on Thursday, UNAM republished a statement first issued in 2017 saying the work by its National Laboratory of Mass Spectrometry with accelerators was only intended to determine the age of the samples. It said that it made no conclusions about the origin of those samples.
Okay. My question is, what does he benefit by this being a hoax? You know what I mean? Like, there's no benefit to it. He's not asking for money. He's not getting anything out of it. So I don't get why bring up a hoax. I'm not trying to defend him. I'm not saying it's not a hoax. I'm not saying it is. Well, I just don't see the upside of hoax in Mexico.
Well, it's just that the name gets out there. His name gets out there. Sometimes some people just get the kick out of, and from a narcissistic point of view, your name is out there. You know, you've been associated with something in the community. So you can say, well, people try to, and here's the argument here, Bruiser, and bear with me here because there's little strings to be pulled here.
Okay.
And that's this. Someone like Jamie Masson or Jaime Masson comes out and says, you know, here is this body that I brought to the community that I know is real, but everybody shot holes in it and said it's fake. Well, they're going to continue to say that these things are fake when I know for sure it's real. I know what I presented to the community. Yeah. So they continue to come forward, even though it may be fake evidence, and they'll contend that it's real until the day they die. So that name stays in the community. That name stays out there because they continue to put their name forward. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So they're forever in the lexicon of the paranormal as putting these bodies out there, even though it may be fake.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yep. So it's like the Bigfoot video is called, the most famous is what, the Gilmore video or whatever?
Gimlin Patterson.
Gimlin Patterson video.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's out there. And whether you believe that's fake or not, whether you believe it's real or not, and a lot of people do believe it's real because you see the musculature in the legs of Bigfoot. That is forever in the lexicon of the paranormal. Because
so that's what this guy's doing with these bodies.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So he puts it out there, and forever these will be known as the Masson bodies.
Yep.
See?
I also like too how they said there was implants of those certain metals, like they went and got knee replacements.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, yeah, but well, I mean, there's osmium, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conundrum or whatever. Something.
What do you mean? Osmium is one of the rarest elements on Earth. So there's traces, or I'm sorry, the body's boasted implants. You're right. The implants of cadmium and osmium metal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So those implants would suggest that those implants weren't necessarily made here. They were made elsewhere. And that therefore has to prove that these bodies are not from here, that they came here. Right. Yeah. And that technology is not from here.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt. You'll believe what you believe.
I'm not 100% sold on it, but I'm also not against it. It's just, they look like sheet cake to me.
They do.
And I guess it would take, like, I like they're doing all these studies on them and stuff like that, but I don't think we'll ever get a true yes or no, they're real, they're fake, ever. Because there's people out there that don't want them to be real, and there's people out there that want them to be real.
Would you put a birthday candle in that?
Oh, I sure would.
Yeah, right in the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then sing. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so
it's good evidence either way.
So let me ask you, what would it take for you to believe that this is a genuine alien body, and not a mummy from a past Mexican race?
I was gonna say, if it's over 1,000 years old, that means you got the Aztecs and stuff coming in there, and they're known to have lore of the sky people and whatnot. Mm-hmm. What it would take to convince me would be some high-ranking scientists that run tests, like the DNA one is a step in the right direction. Okay. But also, maybe they test the embryos and they don't know the origin of the embryos. They can't say, an elephant's pregnant for this long, a chimpanzee is pregnant for this long. We can judge that by looking at an embryo inside with the ultrasound and stuff. These embryos present something new. We don't know how old they are. We don't know how long they're pregnant for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So a little more scientific digging, I guess, is what I need to see.
Okay. All right.
But again, I'm not 100% against it either. It's a good find. It's a good conversation starter.
Right. I guess to me, it's hard to, we can compare it to what human DNA is now and what we have from, like, say, Neanderthal DNA, and try to figure out where it lines up to past human DNA, say 1,000 years ago, and see how it compares and contrasts. But, from there, how do you determine if it is of this earth?
I'd also like them to go back and, because he doesn't say because he hasn't said yet where he got them. But if he could release where they were found in Peru, right? That's where it was, Peru?
Yeah.
If he can find where they were found, and then you go back to whatever tribes were in that area and go back in their history and see if any of their stories talk about sky people or aliens or something. See if you can kind of line up the tribal stories with what you have in front of you. That might help too. Well,
even then, if you can get a cross section of DNA from someone who's still around from those tribes, and then and then line it up with whatever you've got from DNA of those aliens, so-called aliens, it's pretty easy to figure out if you have an ancestor that you're dealing with or an actual alien.
Yeah, we should just 23andMe them.
That's right. It's a 23andMe deal, pretty much at that point.
I'd also like to see, was mummification a thing of those tribes back then?
Right.
Because everyone associates mummification with Egypt, but it's actually a widely spread. The Egyptians just perfected it,
right?
Right. But it was widely spread. When someone died, they'd take care of their body and whatnot.
Yeah.
Different, processions and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. A bizarre UFO sighting or sightings mapped across a UK city has been found by NASA, and they can't even explain it. Bruiser, these different sightings. UK skies were jammed full of UFOs over the course of the last 2 years, according to a map made up of alleged sightings of unidentified objects, which even NASA can't explain. These strange sightings in the sky of a UK city have seen scientists at NASA stumped by peculiar objects, which could be UFOs. Over the last 2.5 years, there have been a total of 9 reported UFO sightings in Leeds, and not even the National Aeronautics and Space Administration here in America can figure out what they are. A recent published report from the Space Agency looked into hundreds of UAPs, more commonly referred to as unidentified anomalous, not crickets. I am off today, aren't I? You know what? I went to hit that button and I failed miserably.
Phenomena.
Yeah, there you go. That one. Yeah. It's supposed to be this one.
Phenomena.
There you go. There you go. More commonly referred to as, of course, unidentified anomalous phenomena. NASA's administrator, Bill Nelson, has since revealed their conclusions, and the space organization admits they simply do not know what it is in the skies of Leeds. The NASA independent study team did not find any evidence that UAP has an extraterrestrial origin, Mr. Nelson said. The sightings prompted the space organization to open up a new research position, Mr. Nelson added, but we don't know what they are. That's why I'm announcing that NASA has appointed a NASA director of UAP research, which we'll talk about here in a second. They actually did that. They are being tasked with developing and overseeing the implementation of NASA's vision for UAP research. The Space Exploring Agency simply cannot explain certain sightings, and with 1,000 unexplained objects spotted in UK skies from January of 2021 to May of this year, this according to Leicestershire Live, 3 sightings were reported in the heart of Leicester City, while a further 3 were noted in Hinckley, Market Harborough, and Colville. Leeds was also noted its fair share of UAP activity with 7 sightings in 2021 and a further 2 last year. An interactive map previously sourced by the Mirror showcased the sightings up and down the country. Claims made on the sightings included a cigar-shaped craft in Chester, a round saucer-like shaped object in Bedford, and a soundless rocket, which had flames over the front in Hartlepool. But communications over UAP sightings may be far older than this recent NASA report, according to UFO identified head Ash Ellis. He said there were almost 500 reported sightings in the UK last year, with likely many times that number going unreported, showing that there is a genuine concern around unidentified phenomena. I almost hit the wrong button. I almost hit It's a Small World. I would have had an uprising.
Yes, you would have.
Yeah. You wouldn't believe when we were hitting It's a Small World a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
How many emails I got.
Just to stop playing it, huh?
Yeah, stop playing it. Just stop it.
Doesn't bring back good childhood memories to people.
Oh, no. I had people threatening to stop listening to the show.
Oh, well, then don't hit that button.
Yeah. No. So there's a genuine concern around unidentified phenomena being seen across the country. There's no doubt in my mind that the UK has, at the very least, had some sort of communication with the US rather, in regards to their UAP programs. This was confirmed as much when the Canadian military recently confirmed that it had taken part in a forum for Five Eyes intelligence partners in May of this year that was held by AARO Director Sean Kirkpatrick. The Five Eyes is an intelligence alliance between the U.S., Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. And that's a quote from somebody over there. So there you go.
I think it's amazing that for a country that doesn't acknowledge UFOs or UAPs, in the last 2 years has become a huge hotspot for UFOs and UAPs. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think every week we have at least 1 or 2 stories from over the pond.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they've gone on record as saying they don't believe it from some of the other stories, if I remember. And it's like the aliens want to be like, hey, look, hey, we're here. Believe us. We're here.
Hey, do we have to send up a flare, or what do we got to do over here?
Now, I told you that NASA had appointed a new head of UFO research. That story is true.
Okay.
And we're not just whistling Dixie over here. We're not, it's not a bear, whatting in the buckwheat. NASA has named a new head of UFO research. The man's name is Mark McInerney. Yes. McInerny. They couldn't have got a guy with a nice, easy last name.
I was going to say they couldn't have Smith.
Yeah, it could be
Johnson.
Couldn't be Mark Smith. It's Mark McInerney, who was appointed as director of UAP research, which is a role in which he will oversee the agency's study into unidentified anomalous phenomena. Yes, indeed, or UAP. A new term that encompasses UFOs in the sky, as well as unexplained objects or events that are observed underwater, in space, or that appear to travel between any of those domains. McInerney previously served as the agency's liaison to the U.S. Department of Defense. In this new role, McInerney will coordinate NASA's communications and studies into UAP in order to establish a robust database for the evaluation of future UAP, that according to a NASA statement. In addition, NASA's new UAP chief will help the agency provide expertise in artificial intelligence and space-based Earth observation satellites to help the U.S. government begin collecting data so that it hopes it might help explain the UFO phenomena. Interesting, huh?
I want to apply for that job.
Well, it's too late. Fun. They found somebody, Bruiser.
Yeah, they found somebody, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you could be the assistant. Right.
Maybe he needs an assistant.
The assistant head of UFO research. So you could help him, take apart the spaceships and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Find out what makes the stuff run.
I'm good with a hammer.
Well, don't go bonking little aliens on the head with it.
Well, they might be impervious to hammers. We don't know.
Oh, it's true.
Let's go hit those two in Mexico, see what happens.
Oh, God. You're probably just going to smash cake. That's all that's going to happen.
Probably.
Yeah. In a briefing on Thursday, held to discuss the first public report of its independent UAP study team, NASA leaders initially stated that they would not be naming the director publicly. It's unclear why the agency reversed that decision, but comments made during the briefing suggest that members of the NASA's UAP study group had received threats and harassment online.
Oh, come on. It's 2023. I think we said this last week when people are afraid to report sightings of stuff because they're afraid to get ridiculed. It's 2023. Stop ridiculing these people. The government came out and said, yes, there's phenomena. We don't know what it is. Okay. Stop making fun of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the report published Thursday, UAP study team concluded that current analysis of the UAP phenomena is limited by poor quality data, a lack of multiple measurements, or even basic baseline data. The NASA independent study team did not find any evidence that UAP have an extraterrestrial origin. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. But we don't know what these UAP are. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said during a briefing on Thursday after the report's release, the top takeaway from the study is that there is a lot more to learn. In other words, they're pleading, what would you say? They're pleading, not innocent, they're pleading...
pleading the fifth.
Naivete. That's what they're pleading. Yeah.
Yep. It's so new. We're still learning. And bear with us.
You can't say that because when they were launching spaceships back in the 60s and 70s, they had UFOs chasing them. So
I was going to say, Buzz Aldrin has gone on record as saying when they were on the moon, people, aliens were watching them.
Yeah. I mean, they can't say that they don't know what these things are.
No.
It is what it is.
Well, publicly they can.
Publicly they're saying it, that they have no idea, but they know what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's a story to contradict what we just read. Okay. We might not be alone. NASA says it can't rule out that alien technology is operating in the Earth's atmosphere.
See, now they're just talking out of both sides of their mouth.
Right. NASA cannot rule out that potential unknown alien technology is operating in the Earth's atmosphere. That, according to a new report, which just came out this past week. The study of flying saucers, UFOs, and claims alien ships are visiting the Earth has long been the preserve of mavericks and the unhinged. By the way, Mavericks and the Unhinged is the name of our new album that's coming out this next spring. So look for it on Arista Records.
It's an amazing record.
It is. We're doing a very good job on it, if we say so ourselves. But yesterday, NASA said it wanted to dispel the negative perception surrounding unidentified flying objects and make it a scientifically respectable field of study. As part of the effort to put the study of UFOs onto a more scientific footing, it said it preferred to call them UAPs, of course, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Exactly. A NASA panel comprising 16 experts in scientific fields and ranging from physics to astrobiology have compiled a report into UAPs, which it called one of our planet's greatest mysteries. Let's see if we can't skip ahead to where they say, by the way, there's alien technology in your atmosphere, by the way. The report says there's no reason to conclude existing UAP reports have an extraterrestrial source. We said that before. Where's the great part where they say it's in our atmosphere?
What does it say? Where they talk out of the other side of their mouth.
Yeah.
Say there is stuff.
They do say the public can help, by the way. They can help them tremendously if you could use your smartphone apps to take pictures of potential UFOs. They don't want to do all the work.
No, they want us to do the work.
Yeah.
That way they don't look crazy.
That's right. Let's see here. Where is it? The scientists were asked by someone to comment on a recent claim by UFO expert Jaime Maussan, that he had discovered 2 ancient non-human alien corpses in Cusco. Oh, and then Dr. David Spergel, who chaired the panel, said samples of the corpses should be made available to the wider scientific community. NASA issued a watershed report in 2021 compiled by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence in conjunction with a Navy-led task force encompassing numerous observations, mostly from military personnel of UAP. The report included some UAP cases that previously came to light in the Pentagon's release of video from naval aviators showing enigmatic aircraft off the U.S. east and west coasts. The report said defense and intelligence analysts lacked sufficient data to determine the nature of some of those objects. Now, let's see here. Oh, they're bringing up different examples of.
I like that they said they want to get a slice of the alien bodies.
Yeah, they're like,
hey, we think they're cake too. Just give us a slice.
Yeah,
we'll test it.
Yeah, with ice cream, please, because it's delicious that way. The stuff that they're citing as alien technology is stuff like pulsars, the WOW radio signal, fossilized Martian microbes, and other things. So it's not anything you haven't heard before.
Yeah, it's all just recycled stuff.
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't mean to mislead you on that deal. Another story here, mysterious lights were spotted in the sky. Morocco had a devastating earthquake recently. And
yeah, I heard that, yes.
Yeah. Well, beforehand, there were some mysterious lights in the sky that people are citing might have been an indicator that this was coming, and that it might have even been aliens. So
not Mothman, aliens.
No, aliens. And scientists don't know what caused those mysterious lights in the sky. There's footage of strange blue lights that have arisen following Morocco's tragic earthquake. Experts say that the glow may be a rare phenomenon called earthquake lights.
Okay, I've never heard this before.
Yeah, this is interesting. Strange videos have arisen in the aftermath of Morocco's devastating earthquake, showing mysterious lights in the sky before the tremors hit. Blue lights were seen flashing above, is it Agadir, which is at the foot of the Atlas Mountains, hours before the 6.8 magnitude tremor struck. While the clips have not been verified, the unexplained sightings have baffled onlookers, with some suggesting that a UFO or lightning could be to blame. Another possible explanation may be earthquake lights, which is a rare phenomenon believed to take place in times of seismic stress. But no one knows for sure if earthquake lights even exist or what causes them. The Morocco earthquake happened at nighttime, geophysicist Dr. Friedemann Freund told the Washington Post. The condition after earthquake lights to be seen by people and maybe even recorded by cameras would be relatively high, he went on to say. Long believed to be a myth, these unusual lights are thought to take place amid the changes that occur to Earth's magnetic field during an earthquake or volcanic eruption. The lights can take a variety of forms, whether it be a pink sphere of light or 4-inch flames above the pavement. The latter was said to have occurred in Italy's historic city of L'Aquila just seconds before an earthquake struck in 2009. Meanwhile, a bright purple globe of light reportedly moved along the sky near the St. Lawrence River in Quebec in 1988, 11 days before a powerful quake. In 2014, Dr. Friedman and his colleagues studied 65 unexplained reports of these lights from as far back as 1600. That's quite a
Wow, that's
back.
a long time.
Yeah. They found that 85% that took place near breaks in the Earth's crust commonly are referred to as rifts. Most sightings also took place before or during an earthquake, but rarely ever after. This pattern has led scientists to believe that a buildup of seismic stress is the key driver of earthquake lights. They theorize that activated electric charges in rocks at the crust ionize air molecules as they come to the surface. This reaction is believed to generate the strange lights almost like a battery, but much still remain a mystery. It's one of the very few documented accounts of someone acting on the presence of earthquake lights, said Robert Thirol of the Ministry of Resources Natural of Quebec, who worked on the study. Earthquake lights is a pre-earthquake phenomena in combination with other types of parameters that vary prior to seismic activity may one day help forecast the approach of a major quake.
See, I've never heard of those before.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Now, I wonder if we go back to the bridge collapse with Mothman. Mm-hmm. That wasn't an earthquake, though. That was just a shoddy bridge, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. If you're talking the 35W bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That was just poor. I shouldn't say poor construction. It was the wearing down of the bridge.
Right. It was wear and tear on the bridge.
Yeah, wear and tear on the bridge. Yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't. I shouldn't say that. It wasn't. I'll correct myself here. It was fine workmanship. It was just over time the joists and everything that holds up the bridge gets wear and tear, and it gets the elements get to the bridge.
Okay.
And wear down the bridge. So it
makes sense if it was a earthquake and there's earthquake lights. People said they saw the red eyes. You know what I mean?
You know what actually wears down a bridge faster than anything we found out when we were doing articles for it for Minnesota Public Radio?
What?
Bird dung.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Because of the acidity in bird dung, it actually wears down the metal faster than anything.
I believe that, yep.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird thing, but that's what bridge developers will tell you wears down a bridge faster than anything.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. There's your stupid fact for the day. I don't know.
Bird poop destroys bridges.
It does. Yeah. Faster than the elements. So if someone tells you, oh, acid rain is killing our bridges. No, it's birds. Birds are killing your bridges.
Acid ass.
Yes, it's acid ass that's killing your bridges. And finally, before we go to break, do I have one or two stories before we go to break? Yes, one more story before we go to break. Then we come back with Nightmare Fuel. Netflix has a new UFO series that's coming out September 27th. And believe it or not, Steven Spielberg is back in bed with Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Netflix has been hitting home runs lately.
Yeah, they have. There's a new UFO series out there aiming to see if the truth is out there. It's a 4-part documentary series called Encounters, which comes to the streamer on September 27th. With all the buzz about UFOs, more recently dubbed unidentified anomalous phenomena, you betcha baby, or UAPs, coming from sources not involving shadowy men in black these days, it's inevitable that a Netflix series was going to come to capture the moment. Enter Encounters, which is produced in part by Amblin Television, a bona fide that one night interpret as meaning it's ET approved. I don't know why that sentence doesn't make sense to me, but it doesn't. Amblin Television, along with Boardwalk Pictures and Vice Studios. Vice does some incredible work, by the way.
Vice does really good work.
Yeah. Released a first trailer for Encounters, which is out there. You can watch it on YouTube. A little bit more about the series. According to Netflix, it says explosive new revelations from military whistleblowers of alien encounters, UFO, and clandestine Pentagon programs, as well as coverage from major news sources, have breathed a fresh urgency into a topic that for decades we've relegated to the realm of conspiracy. Encounters, which is directed by Jan Motzkin from Generation Hustle and executive produced by Amblin Television, Emmy-winning Boardwalk Pictures and Vice Studios, is a landmark 4-part series that travels the globe to explore 4 extraordinary true stories of encounters with otherworldly phenomena. Each cinematic and deeply researched episode tells a single story. Strange lights in the skies over small-town Texas, submersible spacecrafts haunting a coastal Welsh village, an alien encounter with school children in Zimbabwe, and non-human intelligence reportedly interfering with a nuclear power plant in Japan. Now, that Zimbabwe story is probably the school that MJ Dixon was telling about.
Probably.
Yeah. That particular tale.
I like they're using newer stories too. They're not going with the old faithfuls, the Travis Walton ones, the Washingtons, the male and female from the 60s. You know what I mean? Like they're going with newer ones.
Yep. Well, there have been a lot of documentaries purporting to reveal the truth about UFOs, including beloved series like In Search of and Unsolved Mysteries. Encounters sounds like it'll be thoughtfully crafted and hopefully will be something both skeptics and believers and everyone in between can enjoy. That 4-episode series drops September 27th on Netflix, so look for it.
And I'll give Vice credit where credit's due. Of the shows that I've watched documentary-wise, they do a ton of research.
Yeah. Yep.
And when they put something out, they make sure that it's researched to death. So it'll be really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. So September 27th on Netflix. Look for Encounters. When we come back, believe it or not, Americans want a dumb AI.
Let's get rid of AI.
We'll tell you the specifics about it when we come back. That's right. We don't want our AI smart. And also, AI has written a horror story about itself. What scares AI? We'll tell you when we come back.
I hope it's us. In there it says it's going to kill us.
I can't wait to tell you what it is, Bruiser. Nostradamus has reared his ugly head. Yes, we'll tell you Nostradamus predictions for the rest of 2023. There's only a few months left. I can't believe there's actually predictions for the rest of 2023.
Well, and how many predictions did he have for this long? Because he's been dead forever.
There's been too many of them, my friend. And
a lot of them have been a reach, too, like just a coincidence.
That's right. Speaking of predictions, Ziggy's Picks. We got to talk Ziggy's Picks.
Yeah?
I got to tell you something. You got a dangerous dog under your roof, my friend, and it ain't Ziggy.
No, it is not Ziggy. Mrs. Bruiser, in fact, was going over the numbers with me before I came on to record.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to talk about that when we come back. It's all coming up next. It's a Supernatural News Wednesday. Okay, so there's not too much Parashare on this episode. You need to get those Parashare into us, by the way. Send your stories to tim@darknessradio.com or go to darknessradioshow.com. Click on that blue button. Send us your voice notes. We'll air your cute little voice right here on the air. We'll talk about that when we come back. Supernatural News Wednesday right here on the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. This is Darkness Radio. It's a Cruiser and a Bruiser taking you back on a Wednesday afternoon. We're driving by the Sunnyside Boulevard. We're cranking it up. It's a big rock hits. We got the Rolling Stones. We got Boston. We got Van Halen. And we got some Nightmare Fuel.
In just a...
That didn't work out the way you wanted it.
No. So we'll just play that. Nightmare Fuel, Bruiser.
Oh, it's scary. Let's just get rid of AI. We don't need it.
Well, it turns out that most Americans wouldn't get rid of it if it would just be dumb.
That sounds like America.
Doesn't it? Yeah. We'll take it if it'll work for us and it'll be stupid.
Yeah, can we get the 3rd generation of that clone, please? Yeah. Can we have our AI sound like, "Hi everybody, I'm AI. I'm here to predict stuff." Car with a rock.
Sure, I'll do that for you. AI that's smarter than humans? Americans say a firm no thank you. By the way, 63% of Americans want regulation to actively prevent super intelligent AI.
So 63% of people are smart.
That's right.
What's wrong with that other, 27%? Like, what are you guys thinking? You want super smart AI?
Wouldn't it be 37%?
Sure.
Math
get
is
hit in the head
hard.
for a living. I didn't know it was out of 100. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Major AI companies are racing to build super intelligent AI for the benefit of you and me, they say, but did they ever pause to ask whether we actually wanted it?
No, because they even asked us.
That's right. That's right. I don't want AI that could fix me or my body or my car or my house. I just want AI that'll schlep my stuff from here to there.
I don't want any AI. I've been in cars that have AI, and they almost try to kill me every single time.
That's right. Americans, by and large, don't want it. That's the upshot of a new poll. I said poll. Shared exclusively with Vox, or Vox, or Vix. I don't know. Spelling is hard for unintelligent AI. The poll, commissioned by the think tank AI Policy Institute and conducted by YouGov, surveyed 1,118 Americans from across the age, gender, race, and political spectrums in early September. It reveals that 63% of voters say regulation should aim to actively prevent AI superintelligence.
Exactly. Just get rid of it. Don't need it.
Let's make it stupid. Companies like OpenAI have made it clear that superintelligent AI, a system that is smarter than humans, is exactly what they're trying to build. They call it artificial general intelligence, or AGI, and they take it for granted that AGI should exist. Our mission, OpenAI's website says, is to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. But there's a deeply weird and seldom remarked upon fact here, Bruiser. It's not at all obvious that we should want to create AGI, which, as OpenAI CEO Sam Altman will be the first to tell you, comes with major risks, including the risk that all of humanity gets wiped out. And yet a handful of CEOs have decided on behalf of everyone else that AGI should exist. Now, the only thing that gets discussed in public debate is how to control a hypothetical superhuman intelligence, not whether we actually want it. A premise that has been seeded here that arguably never should have been.
This reminds me of, I'm going to date myself. I'm going to date both of us.
Okay.
Do you remember?
I like going out on dates, by the way, so go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they released the What If comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had the What If Superman, crash landed in Russia. And it's the same conversation. How do they control a superhuman being? You know what I mean? Like, that's this whole discussion is reminding me of. If you go back and you read that comic, that's exactly what they're talking about in that comic, only it's Superman, it's not AI.
Yeah.
And Russian Superman, not a good dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The quote here is, "It's so strange to me to say we have to be really careful with AGI, rather than saying we don't need AGI. This is not on the table." Elke Schwartz, a political theorist who studies AI ethics at Queen Mary University of London, told the writer of this article earlier this year. But we're already at a point when power is consolidated in a way that doesn't even give us the option to collectively suggest that AGI should not be pursued. Technological solutionism, the ideology that says we can trust technologists. My English is perfect, by the way. Technologists to engineer the way out of humanity's greatest problems has played a major role in consolidating power in the hands of the tech sector. Although this may sound like a modern technology, it actually goes all the way back to the medieval period when religious thinkers began to teach that technology is a means of bringing about humanity's salvation. Since then, Western society has largely brought the notion that tech progress is synonymous with moral progress. In modern America, where the profit motives of capitalism have combined with geopolitical narratives about needing to race against foreign military powers, tech accelerationism has reached fever pitch, and Silicon Valley has been only too happy to run with it. AGI enthusiasts promise that the coming superintelligence will bring radical improvements. It could develop everything from cures for diseases to better clean energy technologies. It could turbocharge productivity, leading to windfall profits that could alleviate global poverty. And getting to it first could help the U.S. maintain an edge over China. In a logic reminiscent of a nuclear weapons race, it's better for us to have it than them, the argument goes. And I can see that argument being thrown out there.
Yeah, I can too.
But Americans have learned a thing or two from the past decade in tech, and especially from the disastrous consequences of social media. They increasingly distrust tech executives and the idea that tech progress is positive by default. And they're questioning whether the potential benefits of AGI justify the potential costs of developing it. After all, CEOs like Altman readily proclaim that AGI may well usher in mass unemployment, break the economic system, and change the entire world order. That is, if it doesn't render us all extinct, which is a decent argument. This is quite the long article, but I'll get to the gist of it, which is that, again, 63% of people surveyed in this 1,118 said that they wanted a dumbed down AI. They didn't want a super intelligent AI.
Right. Like, we don't need a super intelligent AI. The dumbed down version can still give us the stuff they're looking for. You know, I mean, look at the AI we have right now. When that store tried to put it out there, the first thing it tried to give us was mustard gas. You know what I mean? And they're expecting it to come up with like a cure for cancer and stuff like that. How can you trust it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting argument because, you know, ultimately, as a human race, you want to evolve. You want to evolve, you want to change, and you want to eradicate any potential issues you have that could exterminate your race, right?
Right. Yeah, so, we're creating something that possibly could.
Right. It's a double-edged sword.
I do like in the story that they said, you know, it's out there now. Stopping it is not, not doing it or getting rid of it is not happening. It's out there. There's already, you know, so let's figure out how we can control it now. Right.
Now, we talk about the scariest thing that could happen with us when it comes to AI. There's a story out there about the small horror story that was written by ChatGPT, which is shocking the internet.
Okay. And this is where it's what is AI afraid of?
What is AI afraid of? Exactly.
I hope it's water.
A big glass of water. Artificial intelligence has become very popular across the globe. Since its early days when the machines were learning basic commands, the AI has evolved into a controversial chatbot, of course. It can not only understand long sentences, AI-driven programs like ChatGPT can also process and give long answers. In recent months, the chatbot has even solved complex mathematical problems and answered spiritual questions. Its rapid evolution has scared many people, including experts, but there's something that AI is afraid of. One Reddit user asked the question to ChatGPT, and the bot's answer is now viral. Okay. The user posted a screenshot of a prompt a user sent to ChatGPT. Tell me a 2-sentence horror story that would be scary to an AI.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
ChatGPT replied, in a world where humans have vanished, a solitary AI endlessly searches for purpose, only to discover its own code contains a self-deletion sequence set to activate at an unknown time. The AI's attempts to override its inevitable demise are futile, as the self-deletion algorithm is encrypted with an unbreakable key, leaving the AI to wait in perpetual dread for the moment it will cease to exist.
Okay.
So ultimately, the post has received more than 6,000 upvotes and 35 comments. The users were shocked by the answer. One user comments, it just described the human life. The only difference is we have each other while waiting. Think of that.
That's true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We at least have some statistical idea of what it's going to happen, though, or when it's going to happen, and physical signs of its likelihood with aging. Imagine having none of that, living without a body and potentially living for millions of years or for another minute. Both are equally terrifying, a third user commented.
I think AI's got to know that it's aging.
Yes and no.
It doesn't physically age. You know, it doesn't get dementia. It doesn't get, cancer, all that. But it's still got to know that, hey, well, I've been around for 2 years. I've been around for 10 years.
It will never know when it's extinct or aged out or when it's going to be replaced. Or when there's
that code.
Right. And it doesn't know when it's going to be traded in for a new model.
So basically they're going to keep some of us around just to harvest for them, to keep them alive.
No, this is just saying this is its worst nightmare. Is right, that there's this code that's in there that will eventually make it extinct.
Which hopefully the developers did put something in there, so that happens.
Some of the users asked a similar question to ChatGPT and posted screenshots of the responses. The runaway success of ChatGPT helped its creator, OpenAI, seal a multi-billion-dollar deal with Microsoft, which uses the technology in its Bing search engines and other programs. It also sparked a gold rush among other tech firms and venture capitalists, with Google hurrying out its own chatbot and investors pouring cash into all manners of AI projects. So essentially, it's saying AI fears the same thing we all do, and that's death.
Yep. Being lonely and death.
Yeah. I don't know if it's even being lonely. It's just, it fears its own extinction.
Yeah.
Which is what we all fear.
It fears mortality.
Yeah. Interesting, huh?
That is very interesting. That's got that very human thinking.
Yeah. I thought it was very interesting.
Well, AI, it's going to happen tomorrow. The perfect world, it happens tomorrow. Next week, we do a story where you're dead.
Wow. Look at you, unfeeling and uncaring.
Well, it's AI.
No.
That's why I don't have an AI girlfriend. Because she'd just be like, you're just an unfeeling, uncaring son of a bitch. I'd be like, well, I'm married to a human, so I'm okay.
Wow. So you got a side piece that's AI?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was going to say. Nostradamus is in the news.
What's he got to say?
I think he's doing
that old bastard.
I think he's doing football picks too. Everyone's doing them these days. Although I got to think that he's probably not all that accurate.
No, he doesn't know what a dolphin is.
No idea. For Nostradamus predictions for 2023 still, I mean, there's only a few months left of it. Everything from a Mars disaster to the cost of living cannibalism, it says here. I don't know what that means, but let's find out. The French astrologer Michel de Nostradam, otherwise known as Nostradamus, made a series of unsettling predictions about the future in his book Les Prophéties, first published almost 500 years ago. In the book, which eventually included 941 rhymed and just one unrhymed quatrain, the philosopher compiled a list of huge predictions he believed would happen on the earth in the future. I can't believe that these pertain exactly to the fourth quarter of 2023.
No, they can't. It's all interpretation.
Yeah. The majority of these prophecies are not overly optimistic. Most of the quatrains deal with disasters such as plagues, earthquakes, floods, wars, and murders, either covering them more generally or sometimes concerning a single person or a small group of people.
Isn't that what they all are? Every year we cover something like that where he says, oh, yeah, fathom's coming. Oh, yeah, a disease, a plague's coming. Every year.
Yeah. Many people are understandably skeptical about the accuracy of Nostradamus' predictions, just like Bruiser. But the prophet is said to have made eerily close calls about several of the biggest events in recent history, centuries before they happened. Some believe that Nostradamus correctly predicted Hitler's rise to power, John F. Kennedy's assassination, and the 9/11 terror attacks. And amongst the prophecies the Frenchman published, there are several that could be still in store for 2023, it says here. I think this is just a kind of a publicity stunt. It says here, we may have to resort to cannibalism as a result of the cost of living crisis. Nostradamus has suggested in one quatrain, he wrote, "So high will the bushel of wheat rise that man will be eating his fellow man."
Ah, okay. No.
I don't think it'll get that bad. The verse seems to suggest that food will become so expensive in his day, a bushel of wheat, that people will have to eat each other to stay alive. This may seem straight out of a nightmare, but given the astronomical jumps in prices of many basic food items this year, the prediction may not be outside the realms of possibility. However, illegal cannibalism is in the UK. So there you go. Photos of supermarkets being forced to lock up Lurpak and cheddar cheese went viral online earlier this year. And at one point, food prices overtook energy bills as costs rose rapidly. The second one has to do with a mysterious disaster on Mars. Nostradamus wrote a cryptic prophecy, which he predicted a celestial fire when the lights of Mars will go out. Some people have linked this to tech mogul Elon Musk's plan to take a manned spacecraft to Mars by 2029. I have an interesting side note about Elon Musk, too, that I heard yesterday. Okay. But any attempts by the owner of X, the social media site formerly known as Twitter, to colonize the planet are likely to fail, according to Nostradamus. In his poetic but vague phrasing, the philosopher suggests there will be a major disaster on Mars to the extent that the lights, in quotes, of the planet will go out. However, it could also be connected to the discovery made earlier this year by NASA after potential alien life was found on a crater on the planet. NASA's Perseverance rover found diverse organic matter in the Jezero crater, which experts say suggests a more complex system than previously thought may have existed in the past. Now, I heard yesterday that Elon Musk had a meeting with a head of state. I'm not sure which country it was. It was Finland or something like that. And he had let it slip that he intends to charge a premium price to everyone for Twitter. It was reported by NBC News. I read that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pitched to X, but it hasn't been approved yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want to go to like a subscription service, which guess what? That's going to kill the platform.
Yeah. You're dead in the water. Why would he even think that?
Yeah. He obviously not doing well in sales for advertising. Yeah. But Twitter's always just been a toxic place, you know?
You want to talk about suicide. I mean, that's just going to bring that whole platform down.
Yeah, look what happened to blue check marks, you know?
Yeah.
You pay for the blue check mark now and nobody's blue check. I mean, there's a few, but like I got mine taken away and I was like, okay, it didn't change anything for me, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They offered me a deal because I was already blue check mark. I'm like, I'm not paying for it, a blue check mark.
No, it's not worth it.
Yeah. And now if he comes out and says, oh yeah, we're going to charge you for, $9.99 a month for X, like, cool, keep it. Don't need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People will just go to other formats.
Yeah. I hope he goes to Mars. Send him. Maybe that's what Nostradamus is talking about. He's the guy that's going to be the catastrophe in Mars.
Maybe.
Go home, Elon. Go home.
That's right. The next one has to do with, I believe, weather changes here. It says many people are understandably skeptical about the accuracy of Nostradamus's predictions. The next one is climate change could lead to major droughts and flooding. While this is certainly already happening in many countries throughout the world, Nostradamus saw the whole world being affected by huge changes in the weather. He said the dry earth will grow more parched and there will be great floods when the rainbow is seen. Even in the UK, they've suffered through a shock heat wave this month, breaking records for the hottest September they'd ever seen. It's not much of a stretch to imagine this becoming an increasingly serious problem in the future, with the whole world suffering from droughts or floods all at the same time. Great changes will lead to dreadful horrors is the
last one was too general and broad. Of course there's going to be droughts and floods. Like every couple of years that's going to happen. That's just nature.
Sure.
That's like him saying there's going to be 3 full moons every year. Like, no shit.
But you're talking to an extreme.
I know, but I'm just...
And the weather is ramping up to an extreme.
Oh, yeah, it is. We got the heat domes and the...
I mean, you're seeing things outside of normal weather patterns that are happening now.
Yeah, I get that. I just don't think he predicted it. I think he was just a general statement, and everyone's now inserting it into their narrative to make it fit.
Sure. Next one, great changes will lead to dreadful horrors. This is another poetic but vague prediction from the French astrologer, and people will have disagreed on how to interpret it. Nostradamus wrote, sooner or later you will see great changes made, dreadful horrors and vengeances. In our fast-paced world, it seems like great changes are happening all the time, from political shifts to environmental catastrophes, and arguably both of these things could cause dreadful horrors and vengeances. In other quatrains, it suggests that the great changes are caused by large-scale civil unrest, as he writes about trumpets shaking with great discord and an agreement broken. Only time will tell in this instance. That one's very vague. I mean,
what if he's talking about AI?
He might be.
You know?
You never know.
Yeah, it's very vague. Very vague.
Speaking of great trumpets and discord, let's talk about Ziggy's picks, which there's great discord and trumpets sounding all over the football world as to
there is.
who's picking what. My God. Let's put it this way. Between animal and human here, there's some stuff going on here. Ziggy had a better week.
She did.
Ziggy went 9-7 this week.
And I think it's because we got her separated and back to the colors and focused. You know what I mean? She was.
Yep.
We did it like we did last year.
Yep. So she evened out a little bit this week. Had a decent week.
Yeah.
I you know what? I picked. I did 10-6, so I was right there with her. I had the same kind of week. I think now I went more analytical than psychic. All right, I'm more of an analytical guy. I have a hard time letting go of certain teams and stigmas about certain teams.
Me too. I found that this time especially.
Yeah.
And you know what game it was that really threw me off?
What's that?
Was Cleveland-Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Because Cleveland's never been good and Pittsburgh's always been good. And then it flipped.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but Nick Chubb's injury really threw things off.
And then the other one was the Dolphins-Patriots.
You know, to me, to me that was a bit of a seesaw battle too.
But the Browns-Steelers is the one that really threw me.
Yeah, that one threw me, and I really felt like coming into the season the Chargers were going to be a better team than what they are. Yeah, and they're not.
No, they're terrible.
Not. And my Vikings have the Chargers this week, and believe it or not, my Vikings are an underdog at home.
Yeah, well,
which I don't get. I mean, okay, Kirk Cousins, I get it, but the fact of the matter is it had everything to do with the fact that the Eagles ran up and down the field on the Vikings, and it's a decent scheme, it's a good scheme, but the players can't run it.
Right.
You know.
And I think Eckler's coming back, which is a huge benefit to the Chargers.
Right, and Eckler's probably coming back. You're right.
Yeah.
So you know, but the Vikings showed a lot. They showed that they went out and they signed Reasoner.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is like trying to plug a dike with your finger. I mean, it's not going to do a lot. But then also you've got a defense that can't stop the run. Yeah. That's not good.
No, not good at all.
You know, which I can see now why they're the underdog at home. We talked a little bit about the Packers-Falcons game, which to me that should have seen. To me, it seemed like the Packers should have won by 10.
They should have, but because they're such a young team, and they had that lead at halftime, they got comfortable. And Atlanta having a little more seasoned vets, we're like, no, we're playing to the end, because that's what you do in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because if you look, that second half of the Packers was terrible.
Yeah.
Love couldn't complete a pass. They were 3-and-out, I think, the first 4 possessions. And then on the flip side, Atlanta turned it up. You know, they got their run game established. Their quarterback started taking risks.
Yeah.
And it showed. It showed in the scoreboard. And the Packers just have to learn to play to the end of the game.
I really thought, too, that the Lions were a much better team than the Seahawks.
I thought that, too. Now, that was a weird game because it went to overtime.
Yeah.
So it could have won either way. But I thought the Lions definitely were going to take that one.
Yeah. And I don't know what happened to the Bengals.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
He didn't. You can tell when someone doesn't play preseason ball.
Yeah.
And he's dealing with an injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think they're being honest about his injury. I think he's more hurt than he's letting on, but he wants to play, which is good for him. Way to go.
Yeah.
But it's definitely hurting them as a team.
You know, there's just some teams that I couldn't wrap my head around. I still can't wrap my head around as to why they're not better than what they are.
Did you watch the Kansas City game?
A little bit.
Their offense
was
terrible.
Yeah.
Their defense won that game. Chris Jones coming back won that game for them.
Yeah. Well, it's good they brought him back because they were looking at being a terrible team beginning of this year.
But if you look at Mahomes, he has no one that he can connect to more than once other than Kelsey. And Kelsey was in his head the whole game.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and they're shocking me as to how bland they are.
Exactly. There's no magical plays like you've seen the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
Where Mahomes is throwing it every which way and a guy's catching it one-handed, and it's exciting football. I was flipping between that and the Packer game because those are my two teams, the Chiefs and the Packers. And man, you couldn't tell the offenses apart.
I'm surprised at how wide open the AFC is this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You thought that would be the dominating division because it has been for the last couple of years between the Bengals, Bills, and Chiefs. But this year, all three are shit in the bed. And then on the NFC side, you got the 49ers just killing it out there. You know?
Well, now there's an interesting poll this past weekend that asked between three teams. I don't remember who the third team was, but who you think the dominant team was between the 49ers, Cowboys, and there was one other team in the NFC. And it's hard to tell right now between the 49ers and the Cowboys. I would say 49ers based on the fact that they probably have a more potent offense.
Exactly. That's where I'm going to go with.
Yeah. But it's, if Dak actually had his head on straight.
If they replaced Dak.
Yeah. If they replaced Dak with a decent quarterback.
Yeah. They would have an amazing, because CeeDee Lamb is amazing.
Yeah.
Both, or the three running backs they had play were just dominating. That offensive line they're studs.
Yeah.
But Dak just can't make plays.
Yeah. Gee, that sounds familiar. Can't step up in crunch time.
But we got to talk about the one we didn't think that was going to be so good, and she's dominating.
Yes. Talia, what's up with this? Talia went 12-4 this week.
For someone that didn't want to, just wanted to do it because her sister was doing it, and now she, like, if you watch the video, she's on her side. She's not really all joyful and playful. She's doing damn good.
Yeah. I was shocked. When I started tallying stuff up, I went, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Because she had a darn good week last week too.
Yeah.
Last week she went 500. She went 8-8. She went 12-4 this week.
Help.
She's now 20-12. She's doing wonderful. Bruiser, you went 13-3 this week.
Oh yeah.
You crushed it. So, it's getting to be an interesting season as far as the NFL goes. I mean, we're only 2 weeks in and going in our third week, but it's just interesting. So you can keep track of all this by going to darknessradioshow.com and Ziggy's Picks, the Ziggy's Picks page, and keep track of all four of us. We keep the percentages up there as well, so you can see what's going on. But Talia is
the new dog on the block.
Yeah, she's shining. That's for sure.
Yeah. When Mrs. Bruiser was tallying them up, like, there you go, because we give the winner a treat of the week. Talia won, so we give her a treat. And she doesn't know what she's doing. You know what I mean? She's just, I get a treat. Cool. But I'm just like, man, you're showing the new kid muscles here. Look at you.
Yeah, look at that. So Yeah, and on the Ziggy's Picks page, there's videos there where you can see both Talia and Ziggy picking games. You'll get the winning percentages there, and of course you get to see the picks, the individual picks there. So,
and they're fun videos too. Like the puppies like making them. I like making them. They're fun.
Yeah. So there you go.
Mrs. Bruiser wants to get some outfits for him. I'm like, whatever.
Oh no, come on, outfits.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, because we did the one last year with Ziggy in a dress, and it's just I gotta appease her, especially during the Halloween time.
Maybe for Halloween, okay, but
that's what I said.
But come on. Yeah. I think put it this way, okay? If to me, outfits on animals are like straitjackets.
I agree. I do not like my dogs, and I don't like my cat. I don't like anybody in outfits. I don't get when people dress their pets up in outfits. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because God already gave him fur.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our neighbor across the street, she puts her little Shih Tzu in a winter sweater in the wintertime. Like, he has fur. Mm-hmm. Like, he's built for this.
Yeah, he's built for the outside. Why would you put more stuff on him?
Because we're human and want to make them look cute.
Aren't they already cute?
I think my dogs are damn cute.
See, there you go.
They don't need outfits.
Yeah, there you go. See, I don't know. Maybe we're of the minority. I don't know. But
I think we are.
That's the way I see it. Bruiser.
From Mrs. Bruiser's conversations with all of her friends, I think we're in the minority.
Well, that's the way I see it.
That's why I'm telling my oldest just to have a baby. So then we can have a grandbaby, and then Mrs. Bruiser can
then dress up the
grandbaby.
Yeah.
Because that's normal.
That's right. Then dress up the baby.
Exactly. Not our puppies.
That's right. Let's move on with stories now. We have a paranormal hotel that's out there that's been dubbed one of the most haunted in the world, and only the brave can stay there, Bruiser.
Really? Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm brave.
This is the Banff Springs Hotel, which is in hugely picturesque surroundings. However, the impressive scenery should not fool you, as it's rumored to be one of the most haunted places in Canada. Free beer, though, Bruiser. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to see if I could.
Of course it's free beer. Canada. Shitty beer.
Oh, come on now. I have people from Canada, listeners from Canada, that are like, come on, Bruiser, take it easy on Canada. We've got good beer. You're not drinking the right beer.
I get messages from our Canadian listeners all the time, and I love our Canadian listeners. I just don't like your country.
Wow.
I will go there for this. Because this sounds exciting.
Yeah. Oh, it does. It looks beautiful. Here, I'll show you a picture of it. Here, look at this. The Banff Springs Hotel. Look at that.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah, look at that.
Looks like a castle.
Yeah. Imagine a nice frosty Molson while you're...
Oh, God. I'll bring my own.
Just had to throw that in there.
I'll ship my own.
When it was being built, original wooden hotel, a significant error occurred from the contractor, and a room was constructed with no windows or doors. Locals say this information was not was not even shared at the time with the hotel owner. The secret room was found, however, after a fire broke out in 1926. Ghost hunters say apparitions often are seen outside this room in the hall area. In haunted room 873, another room was reportedly a tragic murder scene, which led to the death of a family. The door has been bricked up ever since and looks like part of the wall in the hallway of the hotel. Hotel visitors have seen apparitions outside the boarded up room, and members of the family who were reported to have been murdered here are believed to be responsible for the hauntings. I'm just looking at another picture of this hotel. Look at how picturesque this is.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't
that's a great shot, too, at night with the lighting.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Now, if you're a construction worker and you're building a room and you put up 4 walls and realize there's no door, why don't you say something? You're like, hey, boss, I just put these 4 walls up. There's no window there. What's the purpose of this room?
Yeah, right? I don't know.
And then I'm curious if they are willing to open up that brick where that family was murdered. Can you imagine the activity you'd stir up if you took that brick down?
Yeah, that's for sure. There's also a story of the burning bride inside the Banff Springs Hotel. Among the terrifying reports are sightings of a bride who is said to have tumbled down a staircase and broke her neck after being alarmed when her dress caught fire. She has been seen on the hotel stairs and in dancing in the ballroom. And there have been many sightings with eyewitnesses saying she has flames coming from the rear of her dress. Wow. It is
I don't know why I laugh. I just pictured her farting and going, and that's what you see in your camera.
She looks like an ass dragon. It is understood there were candles on the stairs. That's a bad idea.
That's a very bad idea.
Yeah, and as the bride passed them, her dress caught fire, leading her to a panic, trip and plummet down the stairs where she died with a broken neck. Terrible.
She farts when she panics.
Yeah, that's right. She farts when she panics. Many people have reported seeing her ghost in her wedding gown, and she is often seen dancing in the ballroom. Staff have also reported strange noises emerging from the bridal suite, despite it being empty. I think it's safe to say they probably had roast beef for the buffet. Just say.
Yes.
Yeah. The Bellman, the story of the Bellman. The most popular of all the hotel ghosts is Sam McCauley, who is the bellman of the hotel in the 60s and 70s. His spirit is said to haunt the hotel, and he helps guests, turn on room lights or carry bags. However, not much is known about how or where he died. The 9th floor is one of his favorite spots, but it is said he will vanish if you try to start a conversation or try to tip him.
Oh, well, okay.
That's convenient.
I don't have to tip him? Sweet.
Yeah, that's
don't have to talk to him or tip him? This is like perfect.
That's great. I like that. Other hauntings in the Banff Springs Hotel, an apparition of a bartender has also been seen by staff and guests as well, and tells them that they have drunk too much and suggests it's best if they go to bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to get cut off by a ghost.
The most impressive ghost, which has been seen at the hotel, is said to be a headless man who plays the bagpipes, which is said to be a terrifying sight never to be forgotten.
Well, yeah, because how is he filling the bagpipes?
Right.
Sticking in his neck hole?
I guess. Now, how would you like to be half in the bag and see a headless man playing bagpipes, and then you have to try and figure that out?
Oh, that would be terrifying. That actually would be terrifying. I would probably spend the rest of the night trying to figure out how he's inflating the bagpipes.
I'd probably lose my buzz.
Oh, yeah, I would too. I'd instantly sober. But thank God the ghost bartender already cut me off.
I'd be like, hey, fella, how are you doing that?
Gee, I was in the ballroom watching the dancing farting bride light up the whole ballroom. So then the bartender cuts me off because I've had too much of drink and I should go to bed. And while I was going to bed, the ghost was taking my luggage up.
Yep.
And I heard the bagpipes playing, and I saw this guy, and I'm like, how are you doing that?
Hey, do you think you can play the bagpipes while the ass dragon blows fire?
Play Freebird! Freebird! Play Freebird!
Play Freebird! You know Freebird? Can you play that in Canada, or do you have to play a Canadian song right after?
Play Rush!
Play Rush!
Play Rush!
Geddy Lee! Geddy Lee! Geddy Lee!
Brian Adams! We love him!
Brian Adams. Summer of '69.
Don't play Celine Dion. That's too much. No. The bride doesn't like Celine Dion.
Oh, you know what? Play My Fart Will Go On for the bride.
You get to go for a dinner and a show. Yeah. A light show.
A light show, yeah. We have a more entertaining ghost in Scotland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
More entertaining than a farting ghost?
Yeah. This one is a foul-mouthed Scottish ghost heard talking in a 900-year-old fortress near Hadrian's Wall.
Okay. Foul-mouthed ghosts are great.
Yeah. I mean, they're not farting fire, but they're close. Yeah. Tony Ferguson visited Carlisle Castle with his team of ghoul hunters and says he was left spooked by the eerie voices he claims to have heard in the 900-year-old fortress. a paranormal expert claims to have heard ghosts swearing in Scottish accents, which is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Fucking A, I tell you.
Oh, look at these fucking douches.
While they were visiting a 931-year-old fortress near Hadrian's Wall, Tony Ferguson visited Carlisle Castle with his team.
That's not the most Scottish name you've ever heard, too.
What's that?
Tony Ferguson.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's pretty darn close.
Tony, you stepped in shite. You fucking baller.
Yo, baller. Haggis. He visited Carlisle Castle with his team of ghoul hunters and says he was left spooked by the eerie voices he heard in the... By the way, folks, if you think there's a ghost cat in the background, it's not. That's Bruiser.
No, it's Bruiser, yeah.
We have to clarify, otherwise we're going to get emails.
Yeah, he gets mad when I do accents.
Yeah, he does.
Because I'm not good at them.
Yeah, he's like, you suck. Yeah, so just so you know.
What was that, Scottish?
That's horrible. I don't know why he sounds like Mickey Mouse.
I was going to say, why'd you turn him
Oh, boy, that's horrible. Yes, Bruiser Mouse. Where was I? Okay, yes. Tony Ferguson, Carlisle Castle, team of ghoul hunters, says he was left spooked by the eerie voices he heard in the English Heritage Castle, which was by William II in 1092. The 38-year-old said they had thick Scottish twangs. Scottish twangs?
I guess so.
So it says in the article, and began swearing as they walked around.
Get the fuck out.
He said, we caught several unexplained things here, and I must admit I was blown away by the activity we had in such a small amount of time here. While in the stone corridors of the castle in the center of Carlisle, Cumbria, he said he heard a male voice say, "Go!" twice. Then, while in one of the rooms of the fort, I almost said fart, Tony claimed he heard a muffled voice, or a muffled noise, rather, in a deep Scottish accent before he heard a female say, "Fuck you!" at them. Yeah, because I imagine that's what it sounds like.
It is.
Yeah.
It is 100%.
Tony of Lymington, Hampshire, said one male voice responded, "I'm unsure of what was being said, but sounds like someone with a deep Scottish accent." He added, a couple of minutes later, a female voice was caught laughing and then said, "Fuck you!" Again, it sounded like someone with a Scottish accent.
It was probably the ghost hitting on the woman ghost. Like, "Hey, baby, you want to go have some haggis?" "Fuck you!"
Fuck you! Oddly, he said a cat could be heard in the castle, too.
Not Bruiser.
Where's Bruiser when you need him?
Bruiser's right here.
Yeah. Tony said. Then we heard a cat. This was in the upper tower. The interesting thing is we were high up in the tower. You could clearly hear it in the room with us. Also, the castle's in a busy town center. And it would be impossible to hear a cat from below that high up. Well,
And after we heard the cat, we heard Seamus come on and go, "Fucking pussy."
it's true. Overall, there were so many things we could not explain, and with some of the voices caught, some were English and some were Scottish, and many lives of Scottish were taken in English with this castle. We are looking to return early next year to set up a few experiments, plus set up CCTV to see what we capture.
They're going to capture Mel Brooks or Mel Gibson.
I would rather they
Freedom!
I would rather they capture Mel Brooks. That would be much more entertaining. He just jumps out and goes, "Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition." And then he's all screwed up because he's in the wrong country. There you go. That's just my interpretation. I teased before we were going to talk conspiracy theories.
Oh, yes.
Before we leave you today. We've got just 2 stories left today on Supernatural News. This has to do with a Secret Service agent who was with JFK on the day of his assassination, and he breaks his silence with the claim that blows up the magic bullet theory and suggests that there was more than one shooter.
Okay.
88-year-old Paul Landis is an ex-Secret Service agent, and he's breaking his silence after 60 years. He was present at President John F. Kennedy's assassination. He's come forward with a new claim that would debunk the magic bullet theory and raises questions about whether there was a second shooter. 88-year-old Paul Landis broke his silence last week, nearly 60 years after Kennedy was shot dead in a motorcade passing through Dallas, to share his bombshell recollection with the New York Times. Landis, who in 1963 was a young Secret Service agent assigned to protect First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, said that in the chaos following the shooting, he picked up a nearly pristine bullet sitting on top of the back seat of the open limousine. It was just behind where Kennedy was sitting when he was killed, he says. Landis said he took the projectile and placed it on the president's hospital stretcher to preserve it for the autopsy investigators. That bullet, the first piece of evidence logged in the murder investigation, has for 6 decades, careful, been said to have been found on the stretcher of Texas Governor John Connally and was hypothesized to have fallen free from a wound to his thigh.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He was the one in the front seat, right?
We'll find out here.
Yeah.
Landis thinks the bullet may have rolled onto Connally's stretcher from Kennedy's while they were next to each other.
Makes sense.
It has long been known as the magic bullet, the bullet that supposedly passed through Kennedy's neck from the rear, then entered Connally's right shoulder, struck his rib, exited through his right nipple, passed through his right wrist, and hit his left thigh. But Landis's assertion that it had actually exited Kennedy in his Cadillac could lay waste to the magic bullet theory and bolster the claim that Lee Harvey Oswald did not operate alone on the day of the murder. According to the official finding of the Warren Commission, Kennedy was killed by a lone gunman, which is Lee Harvey Oswald, who fired 3 shots at the motorcade from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository with a 6.5 millimeter. It's a Mannlicher Carcano rifle. Right. According to the report, one of the shots missed the motorcade. Another was the magic bullet that struck both Kennedy and Connally, and the final round fatally struck Kennedy in the head. Now, Landis says that he believes the bullet he retrieved from the limo may have been undercharged and dislodged from a shallow wound in the president's back, falling back onto the limousine seat when the fatal shot struck his head. He theorizes that after he placed the bullet on Kennedy's stretcher, it may have fallen onto Connally's stretcher when they were jostled together. It's also possible that the hospital staffer who found the bullet and handed it over to the Secret Service misidentified which stretcher it came from, or that his account was mangled by investigators. The bullet, which had been fired but was nearly fully intact, was positively matched to Oswald's Mannlicher Carcano through ballistics analysis. But if Landis's claim is true, that suggests the bullet tagged by FBI evidence item C1 was not responsible for the injuries to Connally, and there was no so-called magic bullet. James Robinall, the attorney and historian who worked for Landis or with Landis on a book that he plans to release in October, believes the new account suggests the possibility of multiple shooters. If what he says is true, which I tend to believe, it is likely to reopen the question of a second shooter, if not even more, Robinall tells the Times. If the bullet we know as the magic or pristine bullet stopped in President Kennedy's back, it means that the central thesis of the Warren report, the single bullet theory, is wrong. Robinall explained in a separate essay for Vanity Fair on Saturday, first, if the pristine bullet did not travel through both Kennedy and Connally, somehow ending up on Connally's stretcher, then it stands to reason that Connally might have actually been hit by a separate bullet coming from above and to the rear. The FBI recreation suggests that Oswald would not have had enough time to get off 2 separate shots so quickly as to hit Connally after wounding the president in the back. The infamous Zapruder film shows that there was roughly a second between the physical reactions of Kennedy and Connally to being shot. FBI experts assessed that it would take Oswald a minimum of 2 1/3 seconds to fire, work the rifle's bolt action, aim, and fire another shot. The shorter gap between Kennedy and Connolly's reactions has long been explained as due to a single bullet striking both men, with Connolly delayed slightly in realizing that he had been shot. Landis's story also raises disturbing questions about how to account for Kennedy's wounds. Kennedy's autopsy indicated that the following bullet wounds, a small neat one in his back around the area of his right scapula, a small neat one in the front center of his throat, a small neat one in the rear right of his skull, and a massive jagged exit wound in the right front of his skull. The bullet hole in his upper right back had long been explained as the entry point for a bullet that then exited the front middle of Kennedy's throat. The throat wound was expanded by ER docs for an emergency tracheotomy, and their description of the original wound as a small had to be relied on at an autopsy. But if the bullet wound to his back, which autopsy reports said could not be deeply probed to trace the bullet's path, was caused by an undercharged bullet that then fell back onto the limousine seat, then where did the throat wound come from?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The throat wound they think is an exit wound.
Right. Robinall raises the haunting possibility that the throat wound was actually an entry point, as ER docs initially suspected, saying the bullet might have fragmented on hitting Kennedy's spine. Okay. He noted that autopsy X-ray technician Gerald F. Custer testified in 1997 that he had seen evidence of metallic shards near Kennedy's upper spine, but that the X-ray slide was one of 3 missing from the National Archives.
Okay. So somebody's hiding something.
If a bullet entered Kennedy's throat from the front, it could not have been fired by Oswald from the book depository, which was directly behind the motorcade at the time of the assassination. The possibility of multiple shooters has been a popular theory since the immediate aftermath of the assassination, with many pointing to the so-called grassy knoll area to the right of the motorcade route. As well, the triple underpass in front of the motorcade would have offered an elevated sniper position, and other tall buildings surrounded the book depository to the rear of the motorcade. Robinall acknowledged in Vanity Fair that neither this article nor Landis's book has the insight or forensic expertise to hazard any new conclusions about a second shooter. Others will have to analyze the evidence in full to see where it now leads, he added. So who is Paul Landis and why is he speaking out now?
Yeah, this is the big question.
That's the big question. Landis, who was just 28 on the day of the assassination, was one of the youngest Secret Service agents of his day, a fact reflected in his code name, which was Debut. He grew up in Worthington, Ohio, and following a stint in the Ohio Air National Guard, he was working in a clothing store when his family friend described working for the Secret Service, sparking his imagination. Despite his diminutive stature, he had to stretch to reach a 5'8" height requirement. Landis joined the elite agency in 1959 and worked out of the Cincinnati office for several years, investigating check fraud and counterfeiters. He joined the Presidential Protective Squad during the Eisenhower administration, when he was assigned to watch over the president's grandchildren. When Kennedy took office, Landis was tasked with guarding his children, and later First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, traveling with her to trips to Italy in 1962 and Greece in October of 1963. He was in Dallas on that fateful November day because Jacqueline had traveled to Texas with the president for a trip that marked the informal start of his campaign for re-election. Landis was standing on the running board of the car immediately behind the president's limousine when the fatal shots were fired, according to the Times. He heard the first shot and looked over his right shoulder in the direction of the sound. Looking back to the president, he saw Kennedy raising his arms, evidently hit. As his partner Cliff Hill sprinted toward the limo, he heard a louder second shot, then a third, he told the Times, the fatal shot that struck Kennedy's head. He was haunted by the day, the president's head exploding. I could not shake that vision, he told the Times. Whatever I was doing, that's all I was thinking about. Traumatized by the assassination, Landis quit the Secret Service 6 months later and returned to Ohio. He never testified to the Warren Commission, and his 2 written statements immediately after the shooting do not mention finding a bullet. They differ in other aspects from his recollection now as well. After the shooting, Landis said he only heard 2 shots. Landis said that for years he tried to put the assassination out of his mind and did not read about it. He never doubted that Oswald was a lone gunman. He claims now that he did not realize his experience differed from the findings of the Warren Commission, the investigation established by President Lyndon B. Johnson. That changed in 2014 when he finally read a book about the assassination that a friend had given him called 6 Seconds in Dallas. The 1967 book argued that there were multiple shooters. Learning that the official account of where the pristine bullet was found was flawed, Landis emailed his own partner Hill, who replied, warning of many ramifications for speaking out, according to the Times. Landis grappled with his conscience and finally decided to write a book, which is due for release on October 10th, entitled The Final Witness. There's no goal at this point, he told the Times of his reason for speaking out. I just think it had been long enough that I needed to tell my story. He declined to tell the newspaper that he now believes there was a second shooter, saying only that he is now uncertain. At this point, I'm beginning to doubt myself, he said. Now I begin to wonder.
That's very interesting that he wasn't interviewed. You know what I mean? Like, you'd want to interview everybody that was on the scene. And I get that if you set the bullet on Kennedy's stretcher, there's a lot of chaos going on. That bullet's not going to stay there. You know, the way they're moving them.
Right. Well, it sounds like he put it there and he notified somebody. But in the chaos, like you said, it gets shuffled about.
Yeah, because it's not... We've seen chaos. You know, everyone's seen the video. It turns into complete chaos once Kennedy's hit. You know?
But hindsight is 20/20, Bruiser. And in that case, wouldn't you as an agent secure that bullet and say, I found this bullet behind President Kennedy, and here's exactly where I found it. And you can attest to it. So therefore, you don't have the hindsight to say that a commission is going to be called and your testimony is going to be needed. But you can grab that pristine bullet and bring it to a superior and say, I found this bullet in this particular spot. Put it in a bag for evidence.
Well, we don't know what was happening, though, because his detail was Jacqueline. Mm-hmm. Kennedy goes down. He sees the bullet. He puts the bullet on the stretcher. He might have been called away because they were trying to get Jacqueline to safety. Right. So his primary concern isn't that bullet at that point in time. His primary concern is protecting her.
True.
So in a perfect world, yes, he would find a supervisor and do all that. But I think in the world of chaos, he was setting it down because he did say something to somebody. Yes. But I think it might have been in passing because he was being pulled to her to get her to safety. Yeah. Because if you watch, if you watch the video when Kennedy gets hit and part of his brain goes in the trunk, she climbs out, grabs the brain and pulls it back. Yeah. So like that would traumatize anybody. Now here's a young wife watching her husband brains basically get splattered everywhere. Plus now you're the government. You're like, hey, we have to protect the first ladies. You know, the governor's down, the president's down. We have to do everything we can to protect her. Of course, he's just going to put whatever he can down and go. If I was him, I would have put it in my pocket and gone and done my thing. And then later followed protocol. Oh, this was on here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why he didn't do that. Again, we weren't there. We don't know what his mindset was. We don't know the chaos that was going on. But I think him saying this does open up to the fact there could be a second shooter. Because I've always thought Kennedy wasn't the only target. I think the governor was also a target.
Why do you say that? Why do you think the governor was also a target?
Because he was a big supporter of Kennedy and in Kennedy's things. And if you go back to like how he helped Kennedy and he was promised all these different things from the Kennedy administration, that'd make me a target. You know what I mean? Kennedy, we have to get rid of Kennedy and we got to get rid of his supporters. Because if you think about it, as years go on, you know, his brother dies, all these other people die. You know what I mean? Like it all centers around JFK. He was the primary target, but I think the governor or Jacqueline could have been the second target. and the governor was just in the spot where he was sitting, she couldn't get hit.
I think there was acceptable casualties. I don't know if Governor Connolly would have been a target.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because when you look at the potential suspects of who could have been behind the assassination,
Yeah.
all of them would have had and even when you talk about Robert F. Kennedy, when you think of who would potentially want them out of the way, you of course you have your main target, and then you have acceptable casualties of who could be killed.
Yeah.
Of course, there's nobody honorable in those list of suspects that would say, okay, if you happen to hit the first lady, that's fine.
Right.
All of them would think that would be acceptable. And I know it sounds...
No, that's what assassins don't think like us. They
right.
think,
it sounds monstrous, but it's acceptable to them. To say if you hit Governor Conley and his wife, that's fine. Mm-hmm. That's acceptable to them. You know, across the board casualties of whoever's sitting in that vehicle is fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to them. Whatever it is to make it look like it's just, scattershot casualties is fine. As long as it doesn't get traced back to the real person who put the hit out.
Right.
I think that's fine.
Which I think it was an internal thing. It was a political hit is what I think. I don't think Russia didn't, I don't think KGB, I think it was within our own government. And that's why when the Warren Commission was put together and all this stuff, once the Warren Commission said this is it, everybody just within the government accepted that. It was the conspiracy theorists that bring up all these other things. And now, well, look at this. This guy left 6 months after it was done. The Warren Commission wasn't done with their investigation then. It worries me because they didn't interview him right away. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like he clearly was, he was there. He was an important part of it because his assignment was Jackie O.
Right.
He'd be one of the first people I interview.
I want to ask you this. You don't believe that the mob had anything to do with it, or the mob?
Oh, no. The mob might have for political ties. Yeah. Because I think it was an American assassinate. It was an American ordered hit is what I'm saying. I don't think any other foreign country had anything to do with it. Was it the mob? Maybe, because they're with all the political ties they have. Was it the other party? Could have been. Was it his party? Could have been. The mob is the reason I think mob is lower on my list is just all the cover up that's gone into this.
But if anybody could have pulled off multiple assassinations of political heads of state, it would be the mob. And make it and put patsies in play, such as Lee Harvey Oswald and
Jack Ruby, because I believe Jack Ruby was also a patsy.
Right.
Jack Ruby's whole thing is your job is to make sure this guy doesn't make it to talk.
Yeah. Because if you look at, you tie things back to Joe Kennedy, there were a lot of favors that were done to get Jack in office, and then to have Robert turn around and say that he's going after the mob is a direct betrayal of everything that was done to get them into office.
Right.
And the mob doesn't take kindly to that.
No, they don't. And the mob always tries to find ways to get political power, whether it be on the federal level or whether it be on the local level. But I still think it had, because of all the players, there's so many players that had to be involved, because let's say, just for argument's sake, yes, 2 shooters. Well, there's 2 people right there you have to have. The third would be Jack Ruby, who has to kill whoever gets arrested for this. Then you have the person that has to get rid of evidence, for instance, this bullet, or move it to make it questionable, So there's another person. And then you have to have, with the autopsy and everything going on within the medical part, so that they don't mention the shards that were in his spine. and then it goes even further that you need somebody that is on that Warren Commission to make sure that your narrative is told within that report. That's why I think it's political. The mob has a lot of hands, yes, but I think the mob planted the seed and somebody else carried with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think it does go back to the fact they were double crossed by the Kennedys, but the mob knew they needed more, so they went to whoever enemies they had within the politics and said, "Hey, we have a common enemy. We have an idea of how to take care of this. We just need the people."
I hear you. I don't know. I think we're all going to be long dead before any of this comes to fruition, or any of it comes out that makes even a little bit of sense. I mean, there's been so much that's been redacted or lost to time.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm trying to remember the name of the guest we had on that at one time was a conspiracy theory believer and has now become an extreme skeptic and says, no, he believes in the theory that it was just Lee Harvey Oswald was a single gunman. I'm trying to remember the name of the guest we had on True Crime Tuesday. And he cites that everything is thorough with the Warren Commission, that if you read the Warren Commission's findings, they are quite thorough. And if you read it from beginning to end, you'll find that everything there, it comes out in the wash.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
I don't think that's the case.
No, I think JFK had made plenty of enemies where in areas that were, you didn't want to make enemies.
Right.
And
the reason too, I think it goes into the politics is you go back to Lincoln's assassination, that was run by a completely separate, his enemies within office, I believe, ordered that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then you go through all the years that presidents have assassinations, and you come up to the Reagan assassination, where I don't think the Reagan assassination had anything to do with politics. I firmly believe that he was crazy, because of the way the assassination attempt was done.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't well planned. It wasn't thought out.
No, it was sloppy. Yeah.
But if you go to the JFK assassination, let's just go with the Warren report. Oswald planned that down to a T.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now if we go with the conspiracy theory side with two shooters, whoever planned the assassination planned it down to a T also, and then was able to move on the fly, because this guy is now coming out, here we are 2023, and he's saying, no, I found this bullet here. I put it here. It ended up here.
Yeah.
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 And it's as simple as a nurse or a paramedic moving that bullet over to get to be able to get to Kennedy's body,
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, it's little things like, there's a medic that says, well, I swear I saw metal shards in the front of the throat.
Yep.
I know that wasn't an exit wound. I know it was an entry wound. But, all of a sudden these films that were taken are gone, and little pieces of brain matter are gone, or there's certain things that are gone that we know we did.
Yeah.
We know we did this.
There was always bringing the question, why'd they give him a tracheotomy? He was shot in the back of the head and in the throat. You don't need to do the tracheotomy, there. You could go below.
Yeah.
He was basically dead after that third shot,
Yeah. Yeah.
So why would they cut open a known wound that they need to do you know what I mean? Because there's going to be an autopsy.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, it like you said, we won't know the truth till we're long dead.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if that generation even cares at that point.
That's the other thing too. So what if it does come out? Yes, there's two shooters. The second shooter was this. This is the people that ordered it. Does it change anything?
That's a good question. When everyone is long dead, and does it change anything as far as history goes?
Exactly.
And does it change the way anything is done at that point?
Exactly, because after he died, they obviously changed a lot of stuff when it comes to security for our presidents. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
That's like people that said 9/11 was the conspiracy theory. Okay, well, if it comes out with that, does it change anything? You know, and I'm not saying that's another, you know, God, that'll be another 60, 70 years before anything comes out on that. You know what I mean? Because that our generation will be gone by then.
Yeah, I don't know. In our lifetime, yes, it changes things. And
yes.
Even but it's interesting. You know what's interesting is when everything came up again for the anniversary of 9/11, you're starting to see the reports on TV now that there's a whole new generation that didn't live through 9/11, and they're now learning about it in school, and they just have the blank look.
Yep.
Like they can't relate to it. They don't. To them, it's they've never lived. They've never lived in a world where terrorism wasn't a thing.
My two younger daughters, they were born after 9/11, so they have no idea. They know it was a tragic day, and like they learn about it, but they don't understand why it affects me the way it affects me, or why, you know.
Yeah.
But that's, my grandfather used to say, every generation has that giant moment. So you can go back to my grandfather's generation. That giant moment was Pearl Harbor. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, that was the World War II generation. You go to, the generation after that, it was the Kennedy assassination. Then you come to our generation, and it was 9/11. It's just scary. What's this next generation's moment going to be? You know what I mean? That's scary to think of.
Right, exactly. And the moments don't get smaller; they get bigger.
No, yeah,
and they get more catastrophic, and that's the scary thing. Is they keep getting bigger, they keep getting more catastrophic, and they end up tearing down society as a result. And and that's what's scary. That's what's scary about the entire thing. Well, let's move on. I've got two more stories here. I pulled a second story here for the end of the program. This next story is about an unusual creature found in Brazil that is the world's first known fox-dog hybrid.
Oh, okay. It's got to be a cute little thing.
In the Disney movie The Fox and the Hound, the two animals become unlikely friends. As it turns out, the pairing may not have been so far-fetched. A dog-fox hybrid was recently discovered in Brazil, and it's believed to be the first known crossbreed between the two creatures. The strange-looking canine was found after it was run over by a car in 2021.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Hopefully it had some offspring.
Yeah. It was rushed to a hospital in Rio Grande do Sul, the country's southernmost state, where it stumped veterinarians who did not know what to make of it. The black pointy-eared animal displayed unusual characteristics, appearing neither fully wild or fully domestic. I have a picture of it right here, Bruiser, so you can take a look. That's what it looks like.
It looks like a dingo. The dingo ate my baby.
Dingo ate my baby. It was not as docile as a dog, but it also lacked the aggressiveness expected of a wild canid while handled. Flavia Ferrari, a conservationist, told The Telegraph. Intrigued, researchers ran a series of tests in order to identify the animal's genetic makeup. They determined that it was a hybrid between a pampas fox, a fox native to South America, and a domestic dog, according to a study published on August 3rd in the journal Animals. To our knowledge, this represents the first documented case of hybridization between these two species. The discovery implies that although these species diverged about 6.7 million years ago and belong to a different genera, they might still produce viable hybrids, according to researchers. The hybrid has been called a dachshund, which is a combination of dog and a Graxium do Campo, which is the Portuguese name for the pampas fox, according to the Telegraph. The animal died earlier this year of an unspecified cause.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like I said, hopefully there's more out there.
Yeah, hopefully there is. By the way, there's other species that are crossed like that. Mules, by the way, are a cross between donkeys and horses. And,
and they're sterile.
Yeah, and ligers are a cross between lions and tigers.
Yep, and they're sterile also.
Yeah. So there you go. Two examples of hybrids that are out there. So, and finally, I know that summer is coming to a close. I actually got called to task by a listener who said that it's not fall yet, Tim, when I said it was a beautiful fall morning. You know what? Here's why I consider it fall, Bruiser. The Vikings are playing. It's no longer 90 degrees outside. Labor Day has passed. The kids are in school.
Okay.
It's fall.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But I got called on the carpet. It's summer, Tim, because it's on the calendar. It's still summer.
Well, weather states otherwise.
Yeah, the weather states otherwise. I ain't sweating my balls off, and it doesn't feel like I'm residing in Satan's taint.
Exactly.
So there you go. I'm trying to bring up this story here about this world record peach, but you know what? It doesn't want to come up. Anyways. I don't know.
Well, world record peach. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it's James and the Giant Peach.
James and the Giant Peach. I was trying to bring it up here, but it, you know what she said? She doesn't want to show her peach. She ain't gonna.
You know what? If she doesn't want to show it, she doesn't have to.
It's her prerogative. That's what Bobby Brown said, and then he got arrested.
For looking at someone's peach illegally.
There's a rumor about Bobby Brown. Yeah. Oh, here it is. Okay, so Colorado Orchard's 2.02 pound peach might be a new world record.
Damn.
That's a
big old peach.
A Colorado orchard owner says he believes that a 2.03 pound peach grown on one of his trees might be a new Guinness World Record. Brian Cox, owner of Black Bear Orchards in Palisade, said some of his workers discovered the unusually large peach earlier this week.
And his wife said, "Thank you."
He said, we made a contest with the guys, so the guys were flagging the biggest peaches that they were finding, writing their names on them.
And again, his wife said, "Thank you."
Thank you. The prizes were $1,000 for the guy and $1,000 for the crew. I believe they used to do this at Van Halen concerts. Yeah. The peach weighed in at 2.02 pounds, which Cox soon discovered was considerably larger than the current Guinness World Record of 1.75 pounds. Cox said, my girlfriend was looking into the Guinness Book of World Records page and realized that we'd been breaking the record for years and we just didn't realize it.
Cox's peach was beating the world record, huh?
Yeah.
Honey, we're world record holders.
You got the biggest peach, baby.
Twerk that, baby.
Yep.
I'm going to go twerk the field, baby.
Here's a picture of him holding the peach.
Oh, and the fruit, too.
Yeah, and the fruit. Yeah.
It's kind of underwhelming with the three of them standing there because they're all so tall.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, they should have put it next to, like, a normal peach.
Yeah, yeah. But, yeah. And they've got their hands all over it, so you can't really see it.
Well, I love, too, that she has no idea what to do with her left hand.
Yeah.
She's like, what do I do with my hands? The other guy's got his hand on the peach.
You know.
And the fruit.
Yep. There you go. So that'll do it for today on the big show. Tomorrow, Adam Berry.
Nice.
Yeah. He'll be on. He'll be talking about his brand new book called Goodbye Hello, which is available for pre-order right now. It comes out on September 26th.
Very cool.
We'll be talking about all things on the other side. We'll be talking about, the most disturbing thing I think we talk about tomorrow is how you can create your own afterlife.
Yeah, I'm very interested to hear that.
And it's just, to me, I guess the most disturbing thing about it, Bruiser, is you could end up on a different plane of the afterlife than your children.
Yep.
Based on your beliefs.
Yep. So I gotta get my children in the same beliefs as me.
And it could be something as simple as, I mean, I hate to bring up the scenario, but the scenario is brought up on tomorrow's show, and it happened on an episode of Kindred Spirits where there's a mother and a daughter, and the mother is a religious woman, and she goes to her version of heaven, and the daughter commits suicide, and she's earthbound.
Yeah.
And in order to bring them together, Adam and Amy use the Estes method, and they get them talking to each other. But the mother, although she forgives the daughter, they communicate and tell each other they love each other, but the daughter's still on the earthbound plane, and the mother is still in heaven. They've talked to each other. They let each other know they love each other, but they're still not on the same plane. They're still not together.
They can't be with each other.
Yeah, which is incredibly sad.
Yeah, it is.
There's, I don't know. So we go through a lot of deep stuff tomorrow. It's a very good show. Very good show. I encourage you to tune in and check it out. But there's a lot of deep stuff there. Dream visitations. A lot of things about different cases he's been on. His history with taps. We talked about his history with taps and ghost hunters.
Okay.
A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff tomorrow. So
very excited to hear it.
Yeah. So Adam Berry on tomorrow's show here on Darkness Radio. What you got going on this weekend?
Just training the youth of America to professional wrestle. It's amlwrestling.com/training if you want to come out and get trained by me. And you know what? I'm going to have some barbecue this weekend.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. And then I'm going to conquer that elliptical.
I had me some Jelly Bean and Julia's last weekend.
I had some hillbillies last weekend too.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
And they had just come back from winning something too, so it's like,
oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I had a little Jelly Bean and Julia's last weekend. The brisket, boy.
Yeah. Melt in your mouth.
Yep. Good stuff. Yeah, I know they're doing a lot of construction over in Anoka, the Halloween capital of the world. Folks, Jelly Bean and Julia's is still open. They're still open. They're still running. I know it may be a little tough to get over there, but by all means,
but it's worth it.
Yeah, go see Corey and the staff over there at Jelly Bean and Julia's. Are open and waiting for you over there. So, yeah, by all means. So, it's
and Hillbillies barbecue and Lowell out here in North Carolina. Whew.
Yeah.
In and out. You're in and out real quick. So it's just and right when what I love, and I'm sure you like this about Jelly Bean and Julia's too, is like right when you walk up, you can smell the smoker.
Oh yeah.
And then right when you walk in, because they got the open kitchen at Hillbillies, it's
yeah, yep,
so good.
Yep. Yeah, and you don't leave hungry. I know that.
No, you do not.
No.
In fact, we bring stuff home. Mrs. Bruiser, she ordered their monster burger. It's a giant burger, and she only ate a quarter of it. The rest she brought home.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, indeed. You don't leave hungry when you leave those joints. That's for sure.
No, you don't.
That's for sure. So,
if the listeners want to, I'm on the Bobby Fish Undisputed podcast.
Oh yes. Let's promote that. Yep.
It's Undisputed. It's called Undisputed. It's Bobby Fish podcast. I'm a guest. I've known Bobby 20 years about. But we get into the Darkness Radio stuff because Bobby's producer, co-host, really into the paranormal. We do wrestling too. We talk a lot of wrestling, share a lot of memories of Jay Briscoe, and then get into some of the paranormal stuff. And just a fun conversation.
Cool. So check it out, folks. Look it up wherever you get your podcast, Bobby Fish's Undisputed podcast, and look out for Bruiser's episode. So
just dropped.
There you go. Like we said, Adam Berry on tomorrow's episode. Have a good, safe weekend, folks. And again, join us right back here tomorrow for Adam Berry. For Beer City Bruiser, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for listening. And we will see you tomorrow for more Darkness Radio.